That's a...
Correct. Every hormonal boy's favorite. A bikini.
My history with the niche JRPG genre began with the discovery of Hyperdimension Neptunia. However, at the time, a more recent release from the developer was a strange over-the-top title known as Mugen Souls. With little experience, I jumped in and had a pretty good time. It's a deceptively difficult JRPG with the incentive to complete it being Bathhouse CGs. Unfortunately, I didn't know that content was removed from this Western release, which has always left a sour taste in my mouth. Well, over a decade later, here we are. Mugen Souls is back and intact with the content from the Japanese release. However, this adventure has not aged well, even with this added content. Before we get into the review, we'd like to thank our Patreon supporters for making this possible. Please take a second to check out patreon.com/noisypixel to support independent game journalism.
Who are you? You're such a beautiful woman, man. My little pussycat. You are quite a sight to stomach. To see a princess tainted by an ugly, panting demon lord. Oh.
Mugen Souls is a product of its time. It has likely never been included in someone's top 10 and is rarely discussed outside of niche circles. Still, the characters and general premise pack some charm that sets up a few humorous moments. The story introduces Shushu, who has the power to turn anything living into her peon. Her current plan is to take over the world and make it kneel before her with the help of her aides, Altis and Ryoto. Interestingly, the story begins the moment they set out on this quest. Across each chapter, story scenes will fill you in on the character's backstory. Further, some party members have some ulterior motives as they plot behind Shushu's back. Each area introduces several new characters to turn into your peons and add to your battle party. The story moments during these sections are incredibly straightforward, as they are recycled in each chapter. You get to a new place, meet a couple new characters, and several story scenes later, you're at the boss. The more exciting moments of the story occur during the Mugen Field section, where you'll have to fight floors of enemies, with story scenes occurring throughout. This field is more or less locked behind the charm level of Shushu's alternate personalities that grow during battles, but you'll likely have to play through New Game Plus to increase them to their final state. These personalities also play a role in the general gameplay loop, as you must turn each area into your peon. However, this requires you to find a point of interest, read a clue about what they want, and then choose the correct form and responses to win them over. There are also points of interest that require some money or some specific number of battles to fight. But back to what I was discussing, the Mugen Field also offers a high degree of customization. Players can increase equipment slots, level caps, and skills. You can also purchase a new job class. This is one of those systems that shouldn't be ignored, but it doesn't stand out much from its initial introduction. Still, I had the most fun here, and the added benefits of completing the trials make the game so much more insane. Battles can be rather challenging and overstay their welcome within the first hour. This is primarily due to the length of attack animations that cannot be skipped unless you go into the system options and turn on skip animation, so it's all or nothing. However, you'll be fighting a lot, and the level grinding only becomes more prominent in the later hours of gameplay. Farming enemies even becomes an option depending on your current in-game goal, but the slow pacing doesn't mesh well with modern game design. Thankfully, for the Switch release, you can unlock all the DLC from the beginning. At the main menu, you can trigger the DLC you want on and off, start a game, and it'll be there. I like this option because it gives players more control over how they want to approach gameplay. I will say that if you do turn on the DLC, you'll be playing an exceptionally broken version of Mugen Souls. No battle will prove a threat, and you'll get through most of the game without issue. This option is best for those who just want to play through the story or experience the Bathhouse minigame, but we'll get into that later. The handicap of the DLC can also be dangerous. Throughout the story, you'll have to face off against rival ships in a rock, paper, scissors type encounter. However, no amount of DLC will help you here, and winning requires good guessing. Sadly, if you die during these fights, it's game over, and you're sent back to the title screen. No, there's no prompt to save before these fights either, and if you're coasting through battles, no part of you will feel the need to manually save, but that's what you gotta do. I wish an autosave feature was added for this release because the situation I detailed was why I lost around 6 hours of gameplay. Thankfully, cutscenes can be sped through, but you can't skip through them entirely. Further, getting the correct combination for the peon conversation is always a chore, no matter how many times you do it. I guess I've become lazy in my years as a gamer because manually saving never used to be an issue. Regardless, give me a retry option at least. Other systems include hiring peons to join your party, which add to a few benefits to battle formations. I appreciated the sub-party members also gaining experience during battles. Encounters themselves allow for some strategy if you take advantage of the giant crystals that are in the middle of the field. Here you can use Shushu to speak to the crystal's kinks and enact fever mode, allowing added benefits. Smaller crystals will provide additional effects, and monsters can even be converted by these means. Shushu also has access to other abilities, but that's where things get messy. There's just a lot going on during fights, and the slow-moving battles don't make it easier. The best moments are when you initiate some high damage skill accompanied by an over-the-top animation. However, you'll likely not see this because you turned off the animations hours ago. Anyway, I know why you're all here. The touching minigame. Yes, the minigame has finally come west, along with the more revealing CGs that remove that pesky steam that's always getting in the way. So, the minigame. It's okay, I guess. After you reach a certain point in the game, you can head to the bathhouse, choose a scrub, some shampoo, and a girl, and clean away. The idea is to provide additional stat bonuses, but I mean, I would have played it even without those bonuses. The CGs depict the girls in revealing poses, and that's about it. You're timed in several turns, but you'll likely scrub away all the soap quickly. Its novelty wears off, but it's here now, so we can all celebrate. The Switch version of Mugen Souls comes with a few issues. Most notably, the loading screens are rather lengthy. Further, sometimes moving around the menu would become unresponsive for me, but I couldn't figure out a reason why. Still, graphically, I think Mugen Souls is a pretty game. I'm sure the character illustrations have been upscaled, but I've always found this game charming. The field and enemy design are nothing impressive though. Regardless, playing this has me wanting a release of Mugen Souls Z on Switch, which is arguably a better game. Mugen Souls is finally complete in the West and available on Switch for fans to experience the mysterious Bathhouse minigame. Sadly, the messy nature of gameplay doesn't hold up compared to modern releases. The entire experience feels like a blend of ideas, creating a haphazard experience for the player. Still, considering the nature of the gameplay, this might be what the developers intended. However, the missing quality of life features such as an autosave, scene skip, and faster loading don't do this forgettable JRPG any favors. Noisy Pixel is giving Mugen Souls on Nintendo Switch a 5.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.